Who's next? Tari, scoot over. You guys switch seats there. Let's get her into the chair right. Ooh, the comfy chair. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Where are you from, Tari?
I'm from Faribault, Minnesota.
Lovely Faribault, Minnesota. And
Yeah.
you got to Teen Challenge how? Tell us your little journey.
Well, I actually knew the Lord for quite a while, and my husband and I were actually part of the leadership team in our church. And but even when I was sober, I've been sober, pretty much for the last 20 years or so. But I relapsed, and my relapse started happening with other addictions before I even reached out to alcohol. I've been anorexic, and I can pretty much avoid anxiety or pressures from the outside by doing other habits, and just excessive anything. And that was going on for a while, and then I ended up this past fall, going to my big addiction that just, makes the roof cave in on us, and that's alcohol. So
Okay.
So I'm
kind of intrigued. You said would just kind of bury yourself into something now, whether it's anorexia, knitting, croquet,
be anything,
just anything, and you would dive into it and become obsessive about it.
Yeah, and it's a way of avoiding, it's a way of escaping.
What was the problem?
Well, we had a lot of health issues in the last couple of years. My husband's a diabetic, and I had some health issues, and the last 2 years have been pretty hard on us. And I knew the answer. I knew that I needed to give it all to God and dive into the Word more. But I ended up, going into my habits and trying to control it myself, trying to control my anxiety. I was having panic attacks, and I'd go into my behavior instead of what I know the Word tells us to do.
But you had been sober for 20 years, so apparently 20 years ago you had some sort of challenge.
Yeah.
All right. But worse than this time around.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but now you 20 years of sobriety. Something must have it was the health challenges, pressures,
yeah,
and you just started going into compulsive behavior.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're married for how long?
We've been married for 9 years. It'll be 9 years May 6th.
Uh-huh. And is your husband sober?
Yes, he is.
All right. And how many children do you have?
We have 4 kids.
4 kids. And they are how old?
We have twins that are 3, and a girl that's 6, and a boy that's 8.
Yowza. And here you are at Teen Challenge.
Yes, and my husband's at home with the kids.
Well, we got ourselves another saint.
Yeah, we do. He really is.
Okay, so you've been at Teen Challenge for how long?
I've been at Teen Challenge since January 8th.
All right, so just a few months, and you've been away from your kids and real young kids to boot.
Yeah.
Tell me about leaving your children for the first time.
It was extremely difficult. We're a very close-knit family, and I've been an at-home mom ever since the twins were born. Worked part-time after Mary was born. So I've really been at home and been with them. And, the alcohol entered the picture, and David and I knew that we don't want this for our kids and we don't want this for our family, and it just kind of took over me. I mean, I can count on like 2 hands how many times I drank before I came into Teen Challenge, but it was terrible. It was terrible. And so we when I said goodbye to them, I had their support. It's different if you're going somewhere and your kids are going, "Don't go, Mommy," But my kids, although they were crying, they knew that I was going to get better because they have faith. They have that childlike faith, and our church has been wonderful. They've been holding my kids up and helping David out, and because we have this Christian background, we've been really blessed. And saying goodbye to them, they know that I was sick and that I needed help. That's.
And where did you tell them you were going?
That I was going to a place that's going to make me better. And
what
did
they think was wrong with you?
They knew that I had talked to them about alcohol and that I told them that I'm allergic to it. That's the only way I could explain it, because and it makes me do weird things.
Which probably is not an exaggeration.
No,
really.
It's
it's really got to explain it somehow.
And they really didn't see it very much, thank God. But they saw enough that they knew something was wrong, and so they know that I'm getting better. And one night I was talking on the phone. We do have phone time that we can talk to them a couple times a week. And one of my twins, Samantha, who's 3, said, she said, "Mommy, God is making you all better, and He is really, really, really good." Mm-hmm. So that just touched my heart. I was pretty teary-eyed that night.
Yeah. Okay, so you get to see your kids once a month, officially, when they come to Teen Challenge for a family day, right? But then there's also some sneaky time, right? The weekend deal when you go to the churches and they...
Yeah, they, my husband and kids, we call them the Teen Challenge groupies.
Which is very funny.
And they are, because they're at every church that we sing at.
Yeah, I didn't know when during the commercial, we were talking inside of the studio, and I thought you guys maybe went out most Sundays to sing and give your testimonies.
Every Sunday.
Plus, about 3 other times during the course of the week. So you're just out on the road constantly.
Yeah, we go out. Well, we go out every Sunday, and there's about 4 to 5 groups that go out every Sunday morning. So
just all over the place. So you're constantly going out, and your husband and children follow you around to wherever you're going so that they can go to church with you.
Yeah, and then we have, a lot of times churches will have a meal after, so we're able to have a Sunday meal together. And so they see a change in me. They see, like I said, before I picked up the alcohol was kind of the final deciding factor. But,
right.
But my behavior and my health was so bad due to my behavior, my not eating. And so they see this healthy
They were
mom.
almost glad for you to go because they knew you were going to get better. All right, I want to talk about, you've got 4 kids, and Stacy Netta, maybe you can help out with this. And everybody's situation I can understand is different based on the age of the children. But when you tell a young child where mommy or daddy are going, what is the range of things that are told to children? I mean, how honest should one be with their child to say, well, your mother's an alcoholic, or daddy's been doing crack, or is that honesty prescribed or encouraged, or do we try to kind of tiptoe around the situation?
I think it really depends on the age of the child. I mean, we have some women that we have a family therapist that's at Teen Challenge that sees the students once they're in level 3 or higher. Sometimes it's sooner based on the situation. And so sometimes she helps with some of that. But I think the parents really know where their child is at and what they should and shouldn't say. But because of the wide age range, some of them are 16, 17, 20, and
You're going to tell them, of course.
I mean, they know what mom or dad has been doing for a long time.
Let's talk about young kids.
But for the young kids, I've heard in the women's program some, just say, I'm going to school, and they don't really understand, what mom has been doing because maybe mom hasn't been around. I think that makes a huge difference. If, with Tari, her children were there, but for a lot of the moms, they are a biological mother, but that doesn't mean that they have been mothering.
Been there. Right.
And so for them, it might just be that mommy's still away because she's been away for the last 3 years. But for those that have been there, some of the terms have been, I'm going to go somewhere where I can get better, or I've been sick and I need to, hospital has been used,
right.
The school has been used. Different things like that. So
when you were saying that you're allergic to it, I don't think that's flirting with lying. I mean, that's in a sense you are allergic. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, well, when are you going to be back with your husband and children? How many more months?
Oh, I have. Well, it'll be 12 months. Will be next January. So 13,
you got a ways to go.
Usually 13 months.
Hang in there.
Minimum. So.
Hang in there.
Thanks.
Applause to your husband for being a groupie and following you around every Sunday.
Yeah,
That's
awesome.
A cool deal.